First, I want to say, yesterday morning I spoke in Kempton Park, and I was so delighted to see the women there and the few men also. Everybody was dressed in a nice, friendly colour. Usually when I go into old age homes or talk at places where seniors get together, it's really drab with me. And this morning I walk in and I have the same wonderful feeling, and I listen to the laughter, and I think I'm talking to the wrong group. You are obviously youthful and positive. But yes, I wanted to talk to you about the changing landscape of the senior citizens world. Do you know that at the moment in South Africa there are more people older than 65 than young children under 15? And it's growing, the senior group is growing year by year. More and more people reach the age of 100 or even older. So we live much, much longer now. And it sounds wonderful to us because we are definitely becoming the majority. And can you think what muscle magic we have once we are the majority? But it really is a concern worldwide. Because where people used to retire at 60, 65 and live for 5, maybe 10 years, now they live for 30 to 35 years, becoming a financial burden, mainly on society and on governments, because very few of the senior citizens can afford medical aid. It's become very expensive, so they rely on government or state clinics and hospitals, and they have to see to the medication, and it's really a very expensive thing for governments. So they are very worried about this. And the main problem is that the majority of seniors are not contributing in any way. They are simply sitting being old. It's a culture that we developed in the Western world. Retirement is all about doing as little as possible, or possibly nothing, because it's now our time to just relax, and the world has to take care of us because we've done our duty. The truth is that this is the time in our lives that we can live our best life ever. This is the time that we can live our purpose, because each one of us has really been created for a specific purpose. A purpose only you can live. And if we don't do it, we do so many other things, or we play bridge and we drink tea, and it's fine, it's wonderful to do because we never had the time before to do these things. But it's also our time to really follow our dreams, live our passion, do the things that we never did when we were young and we were striving for success and getting our children educated and out of our house and out of our pockets if we're lucky. And now is our time to really be who we're supposed to be. I read in James Michener's memoirs, some of you will know him, he's a very well-known author, and in his memoirs, by the way, he only wrote his memoirs when he was 86. And he says, right in the beginning of his book, he says, there was an experience when he was 5 years old that his parents lived next door to a farmer, and he was very friendly with this old uncle. And he used to visit this farmer on his farm. And there was an old apple tree on this farm where the farmer used to work around, and this one day, this old apple tree, now this apple tree just been standing there, an old apple tree not bearing any fruit, no leaves, it was just an old apple tree being there, being old. And this one day, this farmer came along with 8 long rusted nails, and he knocked them into the apple tree, 4 down at the bottom and 4 slightly higher up. And it puzzled little James, who was then only 5. And the next apple season, this apple tree had the most beautiful crop of apples, the red, huge, big, juicy apples, the best crop ever. And he said to the farmer, what happened to this tree? And the farmer said, this tree just needed somebody to remind it that it had a job to do. While it was still here on planet Earth, it had a job to do. And apart from the apples, of course, when the apple season was over, there were leaves, beautiful shade for animals and people to rest. Birds could come again and sit in the trees, build a nest there. So it was drawing life towards it. It was adding value to so many creatures' lives. And when it was apple blossom time, the romantic time, the lovers could have picnic under the tree. It was such a valuable thing that this tree was doing, because it was still alive enough and it was now again productive. And he remembered this. James said it took this experience with him throughout life. So in his 80s, he was still lecturing, he was still doing talks, he was still writing books, and then he wrote his memoirs. And despite the fact that he had a lot of problems like hip replacement, bypass operations, etc., etc., he kept on going because he had so much to offer and to share. And that is exactly what we need to know. While we are still on planet Earth, we need to be productive. We have so much to share. When I visit countries where the people never seem to age, in countries where they grow old, 110 or more, and they still walk around and they're still involved with the community, and they are brain smart, and they don't have any of our old people's diseases. I realize the problem is to sit back and not mean anything to anybody, not to contribute, not to live your dreams, your passion, your purpose is so aging. And apart from it being very aging, it ages us at the speed of light, to the extent where people in their 40s and 50s these days are being diagnosed with so-called old people's illnesses. We age much quicker than we should. I think we miss the point. We forget that it's not about me and the success I'm achieving. It's about my purpose on earth. And our senior years is the time to live that purpose. Oprah puts it very well. She says, there's a sacred calling on each of our lives. Whether we know it or not, it's your duty to find out what your calling is and to get about the business to do it. And that, I think, is putting it in a nutshell for us. We have a calling, we have to find out what it is. If that apple tree didn't again be what it was supposed to be, it would have just stood there and died, a useless tree. And that is what the world thinks of the seniors at the moment, that we're a liability and a burden and a nuisance. You know, in countries where people don't retire, they slow down, but they remain involved. They share their experience, their knowledge, their time, and their stories. You know, stories don't only entertain, they teach. And when people do that, they don't age. When people remain active. If you look at what happened to the apple tree, it also needed certain minerals because the soil around it obviously was depleted of certain minerals. And now, by getting these nails into the tree, the stem of the tree, it received copper, zinc, iron, I don't know what all the farmers will be able to tell you, because they often do that with fruit trees for them to bear more and better fruit. And by doing that, it now had what it needed. So what do we need as we age? To be able to remain active and productive. We need someone to remind us, like Oprah does, and like I'm doing now. But we also need other things. And I'm going to have a good look at what we need. The scientists tell us, with all research done, they're doing a lot of research now to try and find a solution to this big problem. Movement. The main thing is movement. And Dr. Joan Vernikos, in her book Sitting Heels, Moving Heels, says if you don't move against gravity throughout the day, your body ages very, very quickly. My mother-in-law believed in sitting. She was a firm believer in sit whenever you can sit. And I can hardly remember her ever doing anything but sitting. She would eat her veggies while sitting down. She would do everything sitting down. She was seldom on her feet. Unnecessary to say, she was overweight. But when she died at the age of 73, the doctor was so surprised because they didn't have all this information then. He said to us, you know, her organs, every organ in her body is like the organs of a woman well into her 90s. And Dr. Joan Vernica says that's what happens. If we don't move against gravity, our organs, the heart, the kidneys, every single organ, the cells in the body, actually age much, much quicker than we do on paper. In other words, for every 1 year that you get older, your organs in your body will age 5, 6, 7 to 10 years, depending on how much you sit. Gravity is one of our best anti-aging tools. So Marie de Jager has taken this into consideration, and she brought out this program, Senior Mind Moves, all these brain exercises, specific exercises, to keep the senses, the muscles, and the neuropulse strong, healthy, and fit. Because if they are strong and healthy and fit, we have quality of life in our age. Now, I'm 78 now, and I try and live what I preach. I walk the talk. Because I had to reverse quite a few things, and we can't reverse it. When I was 56, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis and rosacea and a few other things. And it scared me so, because I wasn't even 60, and I was already an old person. And I decided to do something about it. Made up my mind that I would do, from 60 on, I would do something that I've never done before in my life. I would do for myself, but I would do something that would benefit others. I would start looking away from myself and do things for other people. And that's been the big change. My osteoporosis disappeared. By the way, I had to change my diet for that one. My osteoporosis disappeared, rosacea disappeared, and I started living. It was the most wonderful experience to live your life every day, knowing that you're getting up for something that's worthwhile. Now, I just love life. And I think, God will have to let me live a long, long time. I've got so much to do. I've got so many plans. And I just love this. And that's why it's wonderful to talk like a group, to talk to a group like this, because obviously you're still very oppenwakker, but you can live your purpose, and you can share this message with many people. The other very important thing, apart from movement against gravity and doing melodies, exercises, and movements, you can do them every now and again throughout the day. Just one here, two there, and that keeps you moving, and it has a specific purpose, connecting with specific parts of the brain, so it keeps the brain alert and healthy. And apart from the movement, research has now shown again and again how important healthy eating habits are. Do you know, I read all the research I can because of my job, and I saw that Alzheimer's is now, the new terminology for Alzheimer's is diabetes type 3, because it's directly connected with your insulin production and the imbalances. It's directly connected to sugars. So it's been proved that because we have this Western way of eating with high carbs and low fat, the brain cannot heal and sustain itself. We have to, and the starches and sugars are actually eating our health away. So you need to look at your diet. That's very important. And you know, it's best to start early. Prevention is better than cure. Take care of your diet and then move. Movement is the next thing. Dr. Daniel Amen says if you want to have aged successfully, the first place to start is by having a better brain. That's where Melody's mind moves come in. I've seen wonderful, wonderful things. People who've come to my workshops in such a bad state, and we reverse it. I don't do it. I give them the information. It's your choice. You do it or you don't. Dr. Caroline Leaf says, the way we age, the quality of our life during old age, is determined 95% by lifestyle. Only 5% can be attributed to genes. 95% are because of the choices we make, the way we lead our lives, our lifestyle, what we eat, what we drink, how much we move, and whether we have fun. I love the way you started your day with fun and laughter. I'm also a laughter therapist, working mainly amongst older people, but I also work with children and people in depression and cancer sufferers. But having fun, they say we don't stop having fun because we grow old. We grow old because we have stop having fun. So please have fun. And Dr. Daniel Amen says movement is important, important, important. But moving in rhythm is even better. So I say to the people, next time you go to the bathroom, do it with a nice melodies. And when you go to the kitchen, and when you're waiting for the kettle to boil, it works like a charm. It's fun, and your body and your brain loves rhythm. So I've given you a few nice tips, haven't I? More fun. So when you go to the garden gate, can you imagine what the neighbours will say to you? So please, if you are playing bowls, do it. Carry on doing it. But that's not enough. If you are going to the gym or some exercise during the week, please go on doing it. But that is not enough. You have to move throughout the day. Another wonderful thing is these nice little rebounders that you get, you know, the small trampoline. My grandchildren have one in the garden, so when I'm in Joburg, you see me on the seat. So they have this guy working, he's fixing the pool, and then the trampoline is just next to it. So I just look the other way, and I jump. And I look down, and they're all staring at this old funny jumping. It's a wonderful, wonderful exercise. It conditions and tunes every cell in the body. And it keeps the brain wide awake and relaxed. The other thing that you can do that is really great is rocking. A rocking chair, in Germany and many of their clinics, they actually use a rocking chair to heal patients after heart operations, to help Parkinson's sufferers. I work with a Parkinson's support group in Port Elizabeth, and I met a woman there 6.5 years ago. She'd just been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And I said to her, get a rocking chair. And I gave her a Melody's book. So she started doing Melody's exercises and she started rocking. And 6.5 years later, she's not on medication and her Parkinson's was arrested then. It has never got any worse. So rocking is one of Melody's favorites. Now I love the rocking, and if you don't have a rocking chair and there's a park nearby, go swimming. We, 2 years ago, Scouty, it's a group in Port Elizabeth, they run a competition every year, Senior Citizen of the Year. And they had money left over after one of their competitions, and they phoned me and asked me, what can we do with this money? And I said, rocking chairs, because they wanted to do something at every old age home in Port Elizabeth. I said, rocking chairs, but that was going to be too expensive. So I said, well, swings. They got hold of the guys who actually put up swings for the schools, and they did it at a special price. But only 4 of the old age homes were prepared to have swings in their garden. They said, it's far too dangerous. Can you imagine that? I mean, older people aren't going to see how high they can swing. They're just going to go swinging like this. So for them did. So we put up swings 2, and I go and visit, and I say to the women, a nice wide, floral or bright coloured skirt, and a nice sun hat, and you go and do your thing. Now you see all the men go and watch. They love this. So that's the thing, and you know that's one big difference in the people's lives. Once they start doing that daily, it really is remarkable how the brain improves, how the muscles in the body improve. Every single cell in the body improves. So do yourself a favour, it's nothing big that you have to do. Just rock or swing, and if you're onto horse riding, do that, because then you won't be in one place. You'll be going someplace. There are many ways to do it. Or get a little rebounder. I've got quite a few gentlemen, older gentlemen, who were really growing old so quickly. And I talked them into getting rebounders. One had a knee op, and the knee just wouldn't recover. And once he went onto the rebounder, his knee recovered like this, because everything strengthens. And these guys swear by it. They'll give me a talk on rebounding with any group any day. They swear by it. It's done so much for them. It's such an improvement. So have it in the TV room. And while watching TV, you don't have to jump up and down. You just rock or bounce slightly. And it does the trick. And if you have grandchildren, go and visit and jump on their trampoline. If there's a school nearby, wait until the bell rings at 2 o'clock. Everything's gone, then you go bouncing. But it really is a fantastic thing to do. Walking, you know, they actually did an experiment in England. They took a group of women between the ages of 70 and 80, all of them suffering memory loss. Suffering from memory loss. So they took them and decided to split them in two groups. The one group, they decided to let them do aerobic exercises, and they chose brisk walking as the aerobic exercise, and the other group had to do resistance exercises. And for 6 months they had to do these exercises. And they checked them at the end of 6 months. Those who walked, who did the aerobic exercises, and who walked a brisk walk, their memory loss had reversed. There was no sign of any memory loss with any one of these women. Those who did resistance exercises, no improvement. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was young, I remember all these cartoons about these strong muscle men, but they were always portrayed as doof. So you see this, the secret is to not only keep the muscles strong, because it's good to do resistance exercises, it keeps the muscles strong and it will keep you upright, you won't fall very easily. But you need the aerobic exercises because it stimulates the part of the brain where memory and the ability to learn is situated. So the hippocampus is actually stretched again and it's put back in place, so that memory is no longer a problem. Because that is a problem, because we do move slower, we have less oxygen in the body, and the brain needs 25% more oxygen, and we're not giving it to the brain. So walk every day. There's a doctor, a gynecologist, retired, he's 92, living around the corner from me, and he walks 3 times a day, half an hour at a time. That man has the sharpest brain you can ever imagine. And he, of course, eats no sugars, he hardly touches starches, and he is so bright, and he walks upright. And I think to myself, you know, we get this information, we see these things. Why don't we all do it? Why don't we make decisions with the intelligent part of our brain? Why do we first wait for something to go wrong and now we want to fix it? Sometimes we can't. So prevention is better than cure. So I've given you a few nice tips. Oxygen, to get oxygen into the body. One final tip before I close. We need to, you know, as we grow older, our ability to consume oxygen decreases. Mainly because we do move slower, and we become anxious about things. And when you're anxious, your breathing is very shallow. It seems to stick here, and we don't oxygenate the body. So the secret is to do deep breathing exercises. But now they all tell me when they want to breathe in, it gets to here and no further. The best way to do it is to first exhale. You exhale through the mouth until your diaphragm moves. And when the diaphragm moves, you know you've got rid of all the stale air, and your body will suck in, automatically suck in the fresh oxygen-rich air. And the other thing that happens when your diaphragm moves, your calming system is switched on. So when you feel anxious, uptight about something, just breathe out. Now do it with me. Out. You feel the diaphragm moving. In and out again. And in. Breathe. Nice feeling. You do it 3 times and you'll be so relaxed. And if it's your husband you've been quarreling with, just do me a favor, don't look up. Just exhale by looking down and exhaling and something else that does cause friction is hearing loss, because our senses develop in a certain sequence and it again weakens in a certain sequence. And I walked into a place the other day where I had to do a talk, I had to do a bit of a workshop with them. And I was waiting for them at the door, welcoming all these seniors. And this husband and wife couple came along. They'd been married forever. Came along, and it was a very, very cold day, windy and cold. And as they walked into the hall, she put her hand to her neck and she said in Afrikaans, "My sap, ek het my sap vergeet." Now her husband's hearing wasn't too good. He said, "Gert, wie die hell is Gert?" So we need to take that into consideration, that hearing becomes a problem. So eye contact and touch. Just touch, look him in the eye and say, "Ek het my sap vergeet." And then you'll know what you said. So just avoid the friction. And yes, my philosophy in life is the same as Diane Ackerman. I learned it from her. She said, "I don't want to get to the end of my life and find that I just lived the length of it. I want to have lived the width of it as well." So for you, I'm saying, Seneca, the philosopher and writer, said, "Let's love and cherish old age, for it is full of pleasure if you know how to use it." And now you know.